I'm working on this job for about 5 years now.
For about 5 years. Is this your first job, or is it your only job that you worked so far?
No, this is second job I had in my life.
And what have you worked as previously?
I worked also as engineer, but for construction, for buildings of metal.
Okay, so you've actually worked in architecture previously.
Kind of.
Well, I mean architecture, I mean by that just construction industry.
Yes.
All right. So, what do you like to do in your free time?
I also like video games, YouTube, things like that. Mostly.
Nice.
Anime.
Mostly.
What else? Some comics.
By the way, what kind of games do you like?
Single player games like I think like Hollow Knight, like Darkest Dungeon, like Monster Train right now. Things like that.
Those are some good choices, though I'm not exactly sure about Monster Train. I've seen it advertised in a lot of places, but I have not tried playing it myself because I'm just not a big fan of TCG games, and that is like one of the newer ones, I think, right?
Yes. Yeah, they released it on April, I think. I advertised Monster Train for one of the new, about 2 years old YouTube channel, and that guy just, как это сказать, follow on that game and play almost like every time, just in Monster Train. This как это сказать. Короче, это то, насколько она хороша.
Okay. I mean, it's just for me, I just lack the sort of perspective to enjoy games like this, unfortunately, and that is a great shame because there are a lot of games set in that sort of genre as well, like Slay the Spire as well, for example,
Yes.
which is also a good game. Like objectively, it is a good game, but it is just not the kind of game I can enjoy for one reason or the other. I'm a bit more of an action kind of guy. I like ARPGs. I do sometimes play methodic RPGs. I like playing MMORPGs. Short games are also fine. MOBAs are fine for me. I mean, the only types of games that I don't play are sports games and racing games. Pretty much. But yeah, for the majority...
Also. This is true for me also.
Come again?
This is true for me also.
Oh, alright. Though, you know, not playing racing games is probably more of a testament that there are not too many racing games, coming out like in recent times. We don't have too many of them, and there really isn't too much being done with the whole concept of just racing. I mean, there are a couple games that interact with sort of building the track based on a music track, for example. I'm not exactly sure. Well, I mean, you remember Autosurf, right? For example. That's one of the things. Even though it's not really a racing game, there are other examples. I don't remember the name of that game, unfortunately, but I have it on Steam and I've played it recently. It's a pretty decent game, and yeah, it's called Distance. Yeah, it's called Distance. Maybe you've played it.
I thought about Crypt of Necrodancer.
Crypt of Necrodancer. Actually, I do own it as well, but I'm yet to play it. I'm actually yet to play it, and I really enjoy music. Like playing games and music are the two things I...
music to Crypt of Necrodancer, and beats just change.
It reads the BPM pretty much,
What?
right? It reads the BPM, beats per minute of the track, right?
Yes.
That's nice. That's a nice thing for them to implement, but I am still yet to play it. I'm a little lazy. You know, I have a huge backlog of games that I have on Steam, but I don't really play any of them because I'm just stuck with playing the same games. I'm just that kind of person. But yeah, Moving on from that topic. Actually, moving on from this topic onto the topic of our lesson today, we are going to talk about business. And not in the traditional sense of just talking about business. We are going to talk a bit about like the theoretical side of things when it comes to business. Just a couple more questions on that topic before we completely move on to the actual discussion here. What business sector does your company work in?
What business what?
What business sector?
Engineering, I think.
Engineering. All right.
Как сказать?
Hmm?
Машиностроение, как сказать?
Actually, that is a interesting question. I'm not entirely familiar with that topic myself, unfortunately, but we have a dictionary integrated into our platform. We can take a look at that. Машиностроение. Mechanical engineering и chemical engineering. Но тут больше скорее mechanical.
Да.
То есть тут можно искать отдельные слова или выражения и открывать такую небольшую статейку для каждого слова или для выражения, если оно переводится композитно. Там есть транскрипция, например, есть описание, есть примеры, например, и тоже прочие примеры там альтернативных переводов, но здесь только один перевод, потому что оно специфическое достаточно. Ну и плюс можно себе в словарь добавить. Alright. So, one more thing. What is the geography of your company's interests?
I think this is Russia and Europe and как у нас называется?
Western Europe?
Western Europe. Но
если вы о западной говорите.
всякие Латвия, Литва, вот эти вот ребята.
Eastern Europe.
Eastern, yes.
Восточная Европа.
Not very familiar with geographic actually, myself.
Well, I mean, at least that's my impression that those countries are like Eastern Europe or Northern Europe, something like that.
Good guys, короче.
Alright. Yeah, alright. So, moving on. Like I said, the topic of our conversation is going to be about business, but not in standard terms. We are going to talk about the theory of two cows. Have you ever heard of that theory?
No.
So, below, in the yellow box, you can find an explanation for what it means, what it actually stands for. And as you can see, it is the theory that was created in an American school during the course of on economics. The professor showed the economic fundamentals on the example of farmers from different countries who had two identical cows. And in the nutshell, it is about different fundamental differences in terms of how different people deal with similar problems based on their cultural background. Below, you can find 3 examples following this sort of description, and there are 3 different countries: Spain, Japan, and Germany. Do you see that?
Yes.
So here you'll need to read the examples and choose whether each of them is Spain, Japan, or Germany. You'll need to drag the country onto the empty space above the example.
Okay.
Okay, the third one was pretty obvious. Okay, so that was not difficult at all. I mean, probably because you do know something about Japanese media, right? Like Pokemon, for example. There's a pretty obvious reference there. And one more thing that I have to add here as well is, as you can see, there are certain words marked in red here. If you hover over them, you see that they are highlighted. So you can click on pretty much any word here, almost every word. And not only that, you can also click, for example, on clever, cartoon, 20,